Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Philly Fan Radio. I'm your host, John Myer, along with Dan Palmieri, and we've got an exciting episode happening. I know we haven't done one in a while. Please don't beat us or anything. Life's been busy. Plus, what has really happened since the last time we record? I mean, besides that freaking awesome Super Bowl, we had the draft, which wasn't as awesome. We had the Eagles Autism Challenge, which was really awesome. The schedule released. And then the NFL meetings, the owners' meetings that recently happened with just a huge announcement for the Eagles. But let's get things underway. Dan, let's talk about the draft. And the biggest question that you and I have, and when we saw this draft, and everybody was hyping about this draft and 2026 draft, which we can talk about then, is did we address some of the needs that the Eagles needed due to the free agency?
So I think we all agreed that our biggest needs were in the back end, the secondary. We lost the corners, so basically we had an opening opposite of Quinyon Mitchell, and we have an opening at safety with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson leaving. To say they addressed it, they didn't really pick a corner, so I guess they feel comfortable going with the combination of, who's going to start, Keely Ringo, Dory Jackson. I think those are the two front runners. I can't really see people like Eli Ricks or anybody else really making a play for it. And safety, they did draft a guy, and I'm going to butcher his name, which is why I have it over here. Andrew Mukuba, safety out of Texas. The description of him is basically he's a ball hawk, which is good. But he does come down into the box and play the run pretty well. So he seems to be a good player. I could see him and Sidney Brown, basically making a play for it. But, I mean, at this point, they picked a linebacker, Jihad Campbell, in the first round. I like him. Everybody said that he's a consensus, top 10, top 15 pick before the injury. And I guess that's good because Nakobe Dean has been injured. Whether or not he'll be in the off-season program, whether or not he'll start the season is questionable. So it was a very smart move, but I still am worried about the secondary.
When I know, we know Nakobe Dean, his injury and speculation was he might not make some of, obviously the off-season or the OTAs right around there, or even training camp. It might be a little iffy. I like Campbell's selection for the replacement of that. Not the replacement, but kind of fill in until Nakobe Dean gets back into it. How do I feel about it? Not even the draft. When you go into the draft and you think about it, I think I've watched the draft, I want to say in its entirety, the first round or the second round, maybe like 2 or 3 times. To be honest with you, I'm never sure of who's going to produce.
Yeah, it's always everybody has their opinion. It's you listen to one expert, they say one thing. You listen to another expert, they say another thing. Nobody ever seems to get the order right. I mean, nobody picked that Shedeur Sanders was going to fall massively. So it's always a question. What was
it, like 144th pick or something?
Yeah. I mean, that's all personality stuff, and God bless the Browns for wanting to take on that. But it's always question. It's a crapshoot. It's like guessing. It's like giving the weather forecast. You're most likely going to be wrong, but you still have a job at the end of the day.
When you look at the draft and if they're going to produce, I mean, obviously Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, well, hell, that was freaking awesome. The ones that you select. If you can if say you have 5 picks, and if you can get 3 of those that produce and stick around and really do it, that's a win. That's a high above percentage average for it. Dan, I know it's early. We're talking here in May. This is going to come out probably right around next week sometime. So it'll still come out in May. But when you look at right now, and the biggest concern that I had was defense with how bad it got decimated with free agency and the signings, and obviously players want to get paid. When you look at this and the team right now, do you feel, and don't worry, you can be wrong, but do you feel our defense is a contender for the 2025 season?
I don't think they're anywhere close to what they were last year. let's say maybe top 15. I think the two most critical aspects of the defense, for me at least, in any defense, is really a solid secondary and extremely good pass rush. And our Super Bowl wins, we didn't really play that well secondary wise in the first Super Bowl win, but in this past Super Bowl win, I mean, we were getting pressure constantly. Our secondary was locking up people. We got a lot of questions. We got a lot of role players that have a high ceiling in the pass rush, 1-year contract guys. But to say today that we're going to be an elite defense, I just don't feel it. But who knows? I'm not sold on Keely Ringo. See, my thing with the secondary is that you cannot be a third stringer on a Super Bowl defense and then all of a sudden next year be a starter and still be a Super Bowl defense. Unless he proves me wrong. I hope to God he does prove me wrong, but I think they got an issue on the other side of Quinyon Mitchell.
I don't think it's the same scenario with Zach Bond, where he came from one team safety and now played, lockdown. I mean, awesome secondary linebacker. He was our biggest re-signing or extension that you and I wanted within the offseason before free agency. Do I think the same player on the same team can turn around? I mean, look at Nelson Aguilar in our Super Bowl run. He sucked the year before. The Super Bowl run, he was excellent, and then sucked the next year. I mean, I have no clue how he was doing it. I mean, he went to other teams, and he was producing somewhat decently. I mean, he had some great catch. Do I really think Ringo's going to do it? I don't know. I think Vic has his hands full to prep the team for the season to be the same or similar defense that we wore this past year.
And I think that you mentioned Vic. I think that we actually do have finally the perfect coordinator or perfect coach to bring out the best of players that if they were to go to other defenses with different coordinators, they might not reach their potential. So I think where we're at with our defense is that if the players have the potential to be starters, this is the defense that will bring that out in them.
Dan, the only thing that I want to recap for the draft is the biggest conversation was, well, the Eagles have like 20 picks for 2026 draft. I don't care. We're playing for 2025. Now, I understand Howie's position. I understand the Eagles' position, that having this for the long term in the future of the team is critical. Great. You guys are doing awesome there in the offense for it. But I want to make sure that our team is set for 2025. I don't want I want to repeat. I'm greedy. Right now, I want to shut the Chiefs fans up. I want to shut the naysayers, the doubters that the Eagles can do. I mean, we've won Super Bowls and championships, and I feel like we're still not getting that respect. Yet here we are for the 2025 season, and our only concern is not Hurts, is not Nick Sirianni, and we'll talk about him in a few moments, but it is the make sure that we have a Super Bowl defense.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a fine line because you don't want to just plan for the future. I mean, if you're other teams, great. You can plan for 2 years down the road, but we are a Super Bowl winning team. We've been a consistent contender for many, many years. So there is that fine line to walk. Next year's we're going to be loaded on draft picks, but who's to say that we're going to hit on them? Who's to say we're not going to take those draft picks and trade for a player?
Yep.
We got some contracts that are coming up with Jalen Carter, who's going to demand top 5 defensive tackle money. We did sign Jurgens. We don't really have too many, I don't think, beyond extensions like that. We have Jordan Davis, but it's interesting. I believe it was when they won the Super Bowl in 2018, that was the 2017 season. In 2018, they tried to bring it back with like the same players, and they ran into issues because of injuries, and they didn't really restock the depth. I think Howie learned his lesson from that, and he's trying to retool while playing for the future. So I think we're in a good position. I just think that unfortunately we're going to have to be a bit patient with the team this year. We got a rough schedule that we'll talk about later. We've got some we've really got some gauntlets here, and I mean, it's all about how they gel together. I mean, Vic is a good coach. We have to get pressure on the quarterback. Our pressure on the quarterback early is going to dictate how our secondary is going to look, and so on. So.
Exactly. All right, so I'm going to wrap things up for the draft. We only wanted to talk a little bit, some information. It's really not that we can speculate on just yet. I mean, this season, while it has officially started in the NFL books, it hasn't officially started for us fans. Let's move over. Everybody, recently, Dan and I just participated in the Eagles Autism Challenge under the Philly Fan Radio team name. This was awesome. Yes, there we go. Okay, everybody received a medal as you completed a thing. This was freaking awesome. So I'm going to recap really what led up to this event. We did an interview with the Philly sports guy. He was talking about the autism challenge. Dan and I talked on the back end. We're like, hey, you know what? We should do this. This is a great, initiative that the Eagles organization does. Jeffrey Lurie and I believe Jason Kelsey actually had a hand in establishing this, and that's why he was there.
Kylie.
So was Kylie. But,
yeah.
Oh, Kylie was the one that did it?
Yeah.
So they had a huge hand in this. Kylie was there. So much was going on. So Dan and I signed up in, what was it, February, Dan?
Yeah.
Or March?
It was like 2 days after we had the interview with the Philly sports guy, Jamie. So I would think late February.
All right, so we say late February, March. Doesn't matter. We had like 70-some days to basically fundraise. Each of him and I, we committed to $500. We did the Wawa Shorty ride, the 10-mile ride. Now, this ride, and if you follow me on TikTok, I've got video clips on it, and I'm dropping them sporadically on it. I actually recorded not only with my DJI, but with my phone. Takes you from the link all the way down to the museum. It follows the parade route, and then it backtracks it all the way back to the link. Now, I am happy to say that Dan and I, for the Philly Fan Radio, raised $1,380 for the Eagles Autism Challenge. So that was huge to every sponsor, everybody that donated, contributed to this. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Yeah, it's a fantastic cause. Truth be told, my wife's nephew has autism, and it's really opened my eyes to what is possible, what really goes on with children with autism. There's so many different variations of it, but I mean, how can you not support the cause? I don't care if you're an Eagles fan. I don't care if you don't even like football.
There was a Chiefs fan there wearing Kelsey's jersey.
There was a Chiefs fan. I felt like I wanted to kick him off his bike, but we're cool.
He was there for a good cause, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing. Just the event as a whole. I was a little worried that I wouldn't finish the race, but, I got to it and I'm like, even if I weren't to finish the race, which I did, it was fine, but even if I didn't, we did our part. We donated to the cause, amazing cause, and it was such a gratifying feeling, and the event was more amazing than I could have imagined.
Yep.
Really.
The Eagles organization did an absolute job. So let me walk you through some of the things. So for the Autism Challenge, the Eagles took everything into consideration for those who have autism. They had sensory rooms because it was very overwhelming. Mm-hmm. I'll talk about like the ending or how it did, but not just that in the group. But they really went all out to support both sides. Those who had autism to actually do the race, and those who wanted to, fundraise for this challenge. And I absolutely. This was, how many years have it been? 7 years, I think they said?
I think this was number 4, to be honest with you.
Well, either way, they've surpassed the number of registrations. Last year was like 5,000 and change. It's over 7,000, $10 million raised towards it. One-day event. Now, let me walk you through how crazy this was. Friday before the event, I was like, oh, man, I should just go down and get our team packet. So I drove down to Philly. I got our team packet, drove back, torrential downpour, by the way, like tornado warnings, all that. It was really strange. And we're like, oh, please make Saturday fine, like for this event, for everybody to show up. We get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, leave the house at 4 o'clock. And this is crazy, right? You want to get down there. We got down there at 6. We had to be at the starting line by 7. Mind you, the 30-mile race was going off at what?
That one was at 7.
That was at 7. Then you had to be actually in line at like 7:15 for it. But the Eagles went all out. The players supporting it. You had Mailata, you had Reed Blankenship, you had Cooper DeJean, Jalen Hurts. I have some awesome pictures with all of them. You had BG. Who else was there? Smith, Henry. Oh, my God. Oh, Kelsey obviously was there. He showed up for the ride. The players actually rode with you during it. We had a bunch in the 10-mile.
Yeah. You know, I personally, I always thought that Jalen Hurts, from a personal aspect, you know, from his media, whatever, he came off as a little standoffish, you know, not really a guy that's approachable or personable. You know what I mean? I know both of us, we personally met Jalen Hurts, took pictures with him. We interacted for maybe like a minute. But I could tell you that the guy is so down to earth, just an amazing person. And I have a newfound respect, and I'm proud that he's our quarterback, that he is just the right guy for the job. He is a very, very grounded guy. He's very nice, very respectful. I mean, he just got off his honeymoon and he still had time to come down and contribute to this event. And it was amazing, from everything. And I really, all the players really, it was really cool. But I want you to tell our fans here what happened with Jordan Mailata, because I thought that was a really special event, or it's a really special thing that happened.
Before I get to Mailata, I do want to comment on the Jalen Hurts thing. So Jalen was walking around in the group of the 30-mile was about to go off, and I'm like, Dan, I'm going up to get his picture. I walked up, and very respectful. I didn't want to put my hand on the guy, so I'm like, I did want to be awkward. So, well, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, I put my hand kind of virtually on his back, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. There's Dan. I think he was like hanging on his shoulder or whatever it is. Jalen was so humble and so respectful. He's like, thanks. He was he's just a down-to-earth person. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I put my hand around him, put it on the shoulder, I was kind of like, in the moment, I'm like, yeah, he's just one of the guys. He's pretty cool. I congratulated him on his marriage. And, I said, if anybody's going to lead this team, I'm proud it's you, that you have the character for it, and we're behind you no matter what the media says. And, just gave me the obligatory, oh, thank you. But it was really cool. Like you said, riding with the players. Just, you don't necessarily, as a fan, get that up close interaction. It doesn't matter, even if you have sideline passes, even if you do autograph signing, it's different. It really is. And it's just an amazing thing.
Yep. Now, before I get to the Mailata thing, I want to, because that happened at the end of the race, actually afterwards, to my son, which was really cool. Dan and I did the race. We started off the 10 miles really nice. Hats off to the Philadelphia officers on all the work they did shutting down the roads. They literally rode up to every intersection, was stopping it as the groups came in. It wasn't complete shutdown. They were shutting down the street as we rode. Please check out my TikTok, because one going right into City Hall, like right around it, then down to the museum, and then back through the streets and everything. And I will post the full video that I recorded. It was like 53 minutes of riding along. But hats off to the officers for shutting it down. Everybody that participated in it was pretty cool, just having a conversation as we were riding. It was just, the Eagles organization put on this. It's very challenging, not only to shut it down, but thank you so much for putting this on.
Yeah, the logistics alone. I mean, I understand they can't shut down Broad Street because Philly only has so many avenues to get in and out of the city. But yeah, shout out to the cops. There were people trying to, ease their way into the intersection, didn't really seem to care, and the cops were just amazing. It was really appreciated, really cool event, very well coordinated, and couldn't have had a better experience.
Okay, now let's talk about the post-event. While we were riding, Our families were back at the link, kind of walking around. They went to the pro shop, got some things. And the players who came back even before us, because they were way up ahead in the front, obviously they're a little bit more athletic than us, so they were easy to do the 10-mile. But my daughter, who was so in love and got Cooper DeJean's picture, it's on our homepage, her phone screen and everything. The players were cool. They were getting so many of them. My son got Jason Kelsey, Mailata, everybody, Cooper DeJean to sign their hats and everything. Here's what happened. So we're done. We're walking in. So they lead you through the stadium as you're done. You're on your bike. And then you go out through the other side. So you get to see everything that's happening inside the stadium. And they put on an awesome show inside. Band, tents, food, additional signings. And we're going to get that in a second. And then you lead out and you put your bike on the rack outside the other entrance. When we're walking back in, my son's standing in line. There's Jordan Mailata. I got a picture with him, right? And I'm 6 foot. This guy's, 7'5"? And I'm like, I need a bigger arm to get this. My son goes up to him, and he wants to get his picture. And the person in front of him was like, hey, would you take our picture? So there's my son taking their phone and taking a picture. Well, at that point, he lost his chance almost to get a picture with him because he wanted him to sign or get a picture, and Mailata had to go. And my son could have quickly got something. Mailata's like, I'll do you one better, and takes off his bike helmet with the Eagles on it and hands it to my son. It was like Mailata is so awesome, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the story in a second, but Dan, just there, being in the right place at the right time, and him respectful that he couldn't do it and had to go, that was awesome.
Yeah, and just seeing his face and seeing how it happened, what are these events about? Okay, they're about making memories, and they're about contributing to a cause. And I could tell you from looking at your son's face, he's going to be not only an Eagles fan for life, but it's a story that he can tell his children. And it's so cool. It's such a cool thing. And he was so giddy. Your daughter was giddy because she got to meet her man crush and everything. But it was just to see his face and his reaction. We as season ticket holders were very spoiled. We get some good interactions, get to see games. But I can't imagine how I would feel if I was a kid in that instance. I'd be like over the moon. So just to see that was really cool.
Yeah, then there's a little bit more to this story, and there's actually 3 parts to it, and I'll string you along a little bit because I'll tell you the ending part as we kind of progress through what happened through everything. Well, there's Mailata. He's getting onto the golf cart, and I'm like, Mailata, will you sign it for him? Will you sign your helmet for it? And he's in the cart, and he is so torn. I can see Mailata going back and forth. He's torn, and he's like, I gotta go, whatever it is. He's like, I'm sorry. Like, he had to go. So he didn't get it signed. No big deal. I mean, it was very respectful. We go into the stadium. They had food for everybody. I mean, literally hamburgers, hot dogs, chicken fingers, concourse. They had bounce houses. They had tents. There were all kinds of things they were giving away, sampling. And then they had what they called the Oasis, where you can go in and stand in line and get a lot of the other Eagles players. Maybe they're new on the team, rookies. You can get their signatures because they were participating in it. Now, they also had sensory special rooms for it was very overwhelming. And I actually know a couple, and I have a couple in the family that are autistic, and when they get overwhelmed in this, it's just too much for them. And I love that the Eagles had these specifically for them to kind of make sure that they were protected, because ultimately this is the opposite of what they need. But they put on, and they did so much on the floor, on the field, and they had it protected, by the way. But either way, it was just hats off to them and what they did.
Yeah, the planning, the logistics that go into it, they did it perfectly. There was nothing, everything was just an amazing experience. And I have to give a shout out to Jamie, the Philly sports guy. He was a little under the weather, didn't do the whole bike ride thing, but he was still there, taking pictures with people. He was at some tents, and, really great guy. I mean, we met him during the podcast, but just to meet him in person and, just BS with him was pretty cool. So, but yeah, the whole experience. I had no idea that it was going to be such a big thing. And I know that from my experience, my wife talked to her brother, and they're actually going to come down next year just to, expose them to that. And yeah, it's overwhelming, but there are those spots that children can just go and just relax and, be more
They can
acclimated.
enjoy it. This event is for them.
Yeah, it really is for them. It's not just we're going to raise charity for this cause, but it's a raise charity for this cause, but also have an environment for them to show. I mean, they took that autism money and they put it towards building those sensory rooms and all these things around the stadium that make it more accessible to children with autism. So it's not like they're just taking the money and pocketing it. It really is going to, and you can see the results, back into the cause.
Yep. And you see more and more people sign up for it. So I'm going to tell you the last part of the Jordan Mailata stuff, and then Dan, I'm going to ask you a question for next year. But so we were done. We did all this stuff, and we're like, all right, it's been a long day for us. We've already been up like 7-8 hours. We're like, all right, let's see what we do. I'm like, okay, as we're walking out, we see a bunch of the Eagles personnel moving some of the gates and making a pathway. And then all of a sudden, the players are coming out that participated or a part of it, and they were going over to the VIP tent. There was Jake Elliott. I'm like, Jake Elliott, picture. He's like, I'm sorry, dude, I can't. I got to go. Doesn't Jordan Mailata walk out at that exact time? Now he can't stop. He's got to go. He's got to go do his thing. I'm like, Jordan, will you sign your helmet for my son? And he turned, he looked, he saw it was me, and he's like torn. He goes, yeah, give me here. So I'm like, Jordan, who is also my son's name, no relation. And anyway, so I'm like,
as far as you know,
where's the marker? As far as I know, I'm like, where's the marker? Where's the marker? He's like, Dad, it's in your pocket. I'm like, oh yeah. So I grabbed it, I got the helmet and handed it to him. And doesn't Jordan Mailata sign his helmet? And by the way, his penmanship is very neat, very nice, and puts it onto the helmet. That was probably the highlight of the event for my son. He, no lie, was talking about the interaction with Jordan Mailata, the signature on the helmet. He did so many pictures and everything with it, and he was sharing with all his friends, and it's down in our Eagles basement here on display. That, to me, Jordan Mailata is such a awesome human being for what he did and the memory he just made for my son.
Yeah, I mean, screw the player. The person is much better than the player, and the player's an all-pro. So it's... Yep. And it's cool to see the Eagles. It's cool to see any players in that environment because, I will say there were some of the rookies that I didn't recognize that were kind of like just there and, kind of checking their phones and stuff, weren't really into it. But the veterans, they could tell how important this was and they wanted to be there. And it was cool to see them in that environment. I mean, the overall experience, I can't say it enough, was just amazing.
Dan, are we doing it next year?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt I'm doing it next year.
We're signing up. We're going to do it next year. We're going to do it every year, and we're going to try to raise more. Now that we know what it takes, now we know what the effort, the level of everything that the Eagles put on, all the support from everybody. Thank you, everybody that donated. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to everybody who donated. Thank you for recognizing the cause and supporting us in this.
All right, Dan, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. There's one announcement I have to make, and then I want to talk about the 2025 season. The one announcement I have to make is the Tush Push lives on. Owners meeting, what was it, 22 to 10?
Yeah.
22 to 10. And there was only one team that we play next year that voted for it. So all you others that voted against it, we'll see you there.
Yeah, and I was reading more and more reports that it got heated, specifically between Jeffrey Lurie when he was giving his speech and I think it was the Falcons guy. I don't remember, but he said, how much shit do you have to say about this and blah, 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 blah. They could tell that they were getting pissy, but I mean, there's no evidence to support that it's a bad play. They tried to do pace of play. I mean, the play happens at the beginning of the play clock, so where's that argument?
Yep.
Injury. There were no reported injury.
None.
Yeah, and everybody was bringing up, oh, well, the Giants players got injured when they tried it. That's because they're dumbasses and they didn't know how to execute it.
They tried it. There's no injuries when the Eagles do it at all against another team, and except for people flying over the center,
Yeah.
obviously during a Super Bowl. I mean, we all get that. That wasn't on us, but
Yeah, it's just, I honestly thought it was going to fail because the NFL clearly tried to get rid of it. But it's
even
just,
Goodell wanted it gone.
oh yeah, even Goodell wanted it gone. I don't understand it.
Suck it.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. You're basically faulting a team for being good at something.
What if we had another play that was an awesome play that no other team could stop? Double coverage in the back that we would intercept all the time every time they would do that. You want to ban that play? Yeah, you want to ban it because no other team could do it, but we put in 10,000 hours to do that. So, you know what? Jason Kelsey said it. He said, I will come back next year if we could touch push, what did he say, 60 or 80 times?
Yeah, and I wish that against the Packers, the first play of the game was a tush push. First and 10, tush push.
And we should do that 3 times in a row for the first down and tell them, suck it, we're moving on.
Yeah, it's just such a dumb thing. I can't believe it. I can't believe it even needed a vote. I mean, where's the line?
They'll try to vote it or ban it next year the same, or maybe they'll
I'm
move
sure
on,
they
or
will.
Other teams will start to invest in it. You know what? Other teams might try to invest into stopping it a little more, especially the teams that voted against it. But anyway, enough and enough. The tush push is still there. Suck it up. Guess what, teams? We're going to still use it because we're good at it. In fact, we'll probably double down and practice even more because we know teams are going to try to stop it. Okay, Dan, I got to move on. We're running out of time here. Let's talk about the 2025 season. What are your feelings here that we have a home opener against the Cowgirls?
I personally think it's bullshit, really. I mean, what have the Cowboys done since the salary cap? What have they done for the last 30 years to justify...
Why do they deserve it?
Exactly. What have they done to deserve the opening game against the Super Bowl champions?
There's no respect for the Eagles, man.
No, and it just feeds into the bullshit that Dallas is still America's team. I understand they're going for TV ratings. It's going to be a great ratings game, but I mean, there's 2 problems I have at the beginning of the schedule. First is with Dallas. I think it's bullshit that they're in it. I would have rather played the Lions or even the Packers. I mean, or, the Rams, somebody that we played. I think they didn't deserve it. I think that's ridiculous. But also, you're the defending Super Bowl champions. When you do a Super Bowl rematch against Kansas City, which is week 2, why does Kansas City get to be home? You kicked their ass in the Super Bowl. You earned the right for them to travel cross country to play you in your home stadium. I think that the schedule makers are just ridiculous.
Well, it goes into AWS, and they generate a bunch of the schedules based off the probability, the wins, the percentages, all the other stuff. And obviously, there's so many other things that take into accountability. If there are other games, other sports happening into it, is the arena packed, a day, prime time, all that other stuff. I understand that they try to, but I think it's disrespectful that the Cowboys are coming to the Eagles at home over. I think it's disrespectful that we play in KC rather than KC coming to us because they won the Super Bowl. If KC won it, I'm sure we'd be going to them. And maybe they are actually already planned the schedule because of the script, thinking that KC would win and we're traveling.
Yeah.
But anyway, the only good news is we're raising that flag when the Cowboys are there.
Yeah, that's the good thing is that, hey, Jerry Jones gets to see a trophy raised for the first time in
We're going to bring it out on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you can look, but don't touch.
This is as close as you're going to get to a championship banner.
Yeah. Before, all right, I won't even mention the rest. And do you think the other thing that sucks is that there are no back-to-back home games?
Yeah, I've never seen that before, to be honest with you. It's such a weird thing that we don't have 2 home games consecutively. I get it, 1-1-1. At least there's no 2 away games. And there's not much cross-country travel, but it's just weird. I mean, the schedule's very odd this year. Another big thing is that you're playing 11 returning playoff teams. So that is hell. And, a lot of things can change. It's 2025. I mean, teams could digress. I mean, Washington had a great year last year. Who's to say that they won't regress? Dallas
and we played them, 2 times in the final 3 weeks, and it seems like we're always playing the NFC East back-to-back or stacked up at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas, by all accounts, should be a playoff team. So you got that going. It's going to be a rough schedule, but I mean,
maybe the Giants will be with Russell.
Oh man, they're going to be something. Yeah, I love all those people. Oh, the Giants are so improved. They're going to really shock some people. What are they going to shock people with? They're going to be 5-12 this year. Congratulations, you're still shit. So, but I think it's a rough schedule. It's really loaded at certain points. And I think there are possibilities that starting the season might be a little slow. You're playing some top quality opponents, might be a little slow. But I think, again, now that we know what this Eagles team is, all the time people say, oh, well, we have to go and beat them. We have to go and beat this team. No, that's not the case anymore. We are the better team on paper. We are the better team. They have to come and beat us. They have to beat us, not that we have to beat them, because they have to play their best game to beat us. We don't have to play our best game necessarily to beat them.
And we still don't get that respect. That's the problem. Everybody thinks that we have to go beat the other team, and it's very disrespectful. Though the other thing is that what are there, 6 primetime games, 2 Thursday nights, 2 Monday nights, 1 Sunday night, and Black Friday game. Now, you can look at this 2 ways. 1, the Eagles got the shittiest schedule, or 2, that the Eagles are the KC Patriots of the primetime season here, and that we're put in a tough spot because we're just going to totally kick ass. I mean, either way, I still feel good about our offense, defense. I'm obviously concerned. We'll see how that goes. It plays out, but I don't know. I don't know how to look at this. Do we look at that we get the shit end of the stick, or do we look at this as that we are the contenders and we are a threat in the league?
I think we are the threat in the league, but at the same time, I think the schedule didn't necessarily reflect all of that. You're still getting teams that get primetime games. I think Kansas City has 8. I think 8. I'm sorry. 8 or 7.
Those are going to be flexed.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, probably.
I think the way they played last year, KC barely got by any of those games and barely won. It was like 2 years ago with Jalen Hurts, where we were just winning the games and being contenders, and they faltered at the end. And the only reason they made it is thanks to the refs. But
yeah, and it's just, Dallas has a bunch of primetime games. It's a weird thing. And I'm not a fan of Friday game or Thursday games personally. And the big thing this year that they announced is that as long as they give notice, I think within 2 weeks, they can actually now flex games to Thursday. So there's a possibility that you could play, or you have originally scheduled to play Sunday at like 1 o'clock. And because of your schedule, or because of your rankings and everything, you could get flexed to Thursday now, which I think is the biggest line of bullshit in the world, because there's so many logistics and so much crap that goes with that. Especially, I think about it from an NFL fan, you make plans to do something on Sunday, and that's not a work day. And then all of a sudden the NFL says, hey, we're going to flex it to Thursday. You had work on Thursday. You got work on Friday. It's just hard on the fans. It really is. And I just don't like that concept.
Well, speaking of them flexing it and all the other thing, did you see a report that for the average NFL fan to watch the season will somewhere get into the thousands of dollars of not only subscription fees for the month, for the year, for like the season time of it, between YouTube TV, between NFL Network, between Prime, between Peacock, between CBS,
ESPN
all those
Plus.
apps. ESPN Plus. Now that they're going to only be played on that, in order for you to watch, you have to get that. Now, that's if you don't have your home team in your local area. Thankfully, the Eagles will be on the local network because we don't have to subscribe and get all those. But in order to watch them, or you got to go to a sports bar or somebody else who has all those subscriptions. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, and I think, now I may be wrong, but I believe even if you have the NFL Sunday package or NFL Sunday ticket through YouTube TV now, I don't think that gets you the streaming games. So,
No.
Christmas, I believe, is on Netflix this year. Black Friday.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even mention them. Yeah, there's another one.
Netflix this year. You got Netflix, and then you got games on AWS, as you said, or Amazon, as you said. Those aren't included in your Sunday tickets. So, I mean, tariffs, everything else that's going on. How the hell can you afford to see all these games? And it's a shame. It really is.
There's going to be a lot of restreaming happening. Okay, Dan, the last thing I want to mention is hats off to Nick Sirianni. Contract extension, 5 years. His contract was up in 2025. It hasn't been disclosed any of the information or amounts, but that shows that the respect that he gets from the Eagles organization, but still being disrespected from around the league. There was like some NFL head coach rankings that put Nick Sirianni, 16th out of the league. Guys, just 3 years, 2 Super Bowls. I mean, what the heck? I mean, hell, even Dan Quinn's above him. So
he's getting the Jalen Hurts treatment, really. I mean, he's being penalized basically because he has a loaded roster. And I'm sorry, but no coach is going to thrive if they don't have a loaded roster or if they don't have a decent roster. It doesn't matter who you are. And I think the disrespect becomes a little bit because he's out, he's arrogant a little bit sometimes. He gets into it with the fans. He's a guy. He's just one of the guys, and he's an NFL coach. Sometimes
I like it that he does that. I mean, it shows passion. It shows that he has heart.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a stiff out there. I like it. I like it too. I mean, there are some times that he goes a little overboard, but I mean, he's just a regular guy. We keep holding these people thinking that, oh, well, they are a higher standard. They're not like humans the way we're written, and it's not the case. Yep. He's an emotional guy. And he's, his track record speaks for himself. He's a great coach. I mean, I've been critical of him, and I'll still be critical of him because that's the way it is.
You're allowed to be. You're a fan.
Yeah, I'm not saying the guy's horrible. He makes questionable decisions, but because we're in the Philly market, we're talking about the Eagles, that's who we talk about. But I guarantee there's people out there for the Cowboys, for Washington, whatever, that sit there and say the same thing. Oh, our coach made some questionable decisions. I really don't, what the hell's the matter with him? It's just the way it's just the way it is, and it's stupid. I mean, not to pivot a little bit on that, but I saw things like Jalen Hurts. Everybody's saying that he's like the 9th quarterback rated in the league, below people like Dak Prescott, and Chase Daniel's out in the media saying, oh, well, Trevor Lawrence is better than Jalen Hurts. If Jared Allen were to play for the Eagles, he'd have 4 Super Bowl wins, blah, 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 blah. It's so asinine, and it makes me love Sundays even more because I love it when they just stick it to him. In the words of Jalen, is that what you wanted to see? Is that the passing game you wanted to see? All he has to do? It's stupid.
That is a perfect way to end this episode in this podcast. Is that what you wanted to see? And that was the passing game for the Steelers last season. That was freaking awesome. Well, everybody, this has been the Philly Fan Radio. I'm your host, John Myer, along with Dan Palmieri. And guess what, Dan?
We're out of here, and this is the podcast you want to see.
I don't know how else to top that one. We're out.